most of LawTube has commented on this. Now, I know there are a few members of LawTube that have not, and I'm not going to say that all of LawTube agrees with me or, you know, all of LawTube endorses me, but enough have commented that I can say the general consensus of LawTube is X, right? And I think that's fair, at least of the people that consider themselves part of LawTube as a greater thing. Not as a collective entity, but as a group of individuals that stream on legal topics. And for those that don't know what LawTube is generally the legal streamers or the legal video makers on YouTube. Now, that can be a broader definition, that can be a more narrow definition, but generally people that are out there educating people and entertaining people related to legal topics. There are lots of different channels out there that are doing legal streaming. A lot of them focus on criminal streaming. So they'll focus on trials. They'll focus on maybe a murder case or whatever else, right? Many of them were doing the Reed trial recently. And there'll be other trials that they cover in the future. And while I will sometimes cover court cases that are of personal interest or that seem particularly spicy, I don't always do that. Many other channels do that better than indeed I do. And one of the beautiful things about LawTube, one of the things that's really awesome is every single lawyer within this has their own specialty. They all have their own thing that they're really good at, their thing they know a lot about. And that's sort of like having a law firm. At a law firm, especially a big law firm, you have different senior partners that are special at different things and that have different focuses. And that's one of the great things I find about this community is that you can turn to a person who perhaps has more niche knowledge than you in that area if it's of their area of specialty. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. It's a really cool thing. And one thing that's really amazing is that we can always disagree on legal stuff and still be cool with each other, which is always very nice. I do enjoy that. Let's get into it. Okay, the Hassan Orbital lawsuit. So this is something that's really shocking to me and something that I was really surprised about is that there is unanimous agreement amongst lawyers. So I have not seen a single lawyer on the internet, and I've looked over the past week that has said, or 2 weeks actually, that has said that any of the orbiters, that's Denhams, Caseytron, Frogan, even Sean the Black, even though he's not being sued. We're going to get to him. Don't worry. Oh, don't worry. We're getting to Sean the Black. I haven't seen anybody say they're going to win on the merits. Not one person. You know how many lawyers like to disagree with each other and think they're going to win, that, you know, we're going to argue the other side or argue, you know, devil's advocate. I have not seen one that says, hey, nope, this is looking good for them. Now, of course, there's no guarantee, which is my second one. There's no guarantee. But Ethan Klein clearly has a legal upper hand, right? So obviously, there's never 100% shot, but all of them have said it doesn't look good for the orbiters, at the very least. And that's saying something. That's definitely saying something. Someone brought up, I think there's, someone brought up someone who was defending the orbiters, but the only defense I've heard of the orbiters, and there's one, there's one minor character, and he did not actually say they were going to win on the merits, from what I heard. All he said was the system was broken, and it's a systemic problem, and it's not fair that people with a lot of money win. That's not saying they're going to win on the merits. So he did not say that they're going to win in court. What he said was the system's not fair. And that's just being contrarian to be contrarian. And that's being emotional to be emotional. And that's not what lawyers should do. So, yeah, that's a... That's a very, it's funny, but it's not going to win in court, right? It's not going to win in court. Okay. Damages could very well sink the creators forever, and the legal funds won't help. So the legal funds are not going to really help these creators because, number one, they're probably not even enough to pay for the lawyers. And number two, even if they have a legal fund, and even if that funds their defense, and they lose, which they probably will, they're going to be done. They're going to have a lot of their assets at risk for a very long time. It's not going to be good for Denham's, Frogan, or Casey Tron at all whatsoever. So I think the damages are something they should be very, very worried about. And I don't think even Daddy Hassan is going to be able to financially bail them out from how deep of a hole they're going to get into. And last, and this is a great one, Sean the Black got lucky he's a nobody. So Ethan Klein had talked about suing Sean the Black. And I had no idea who this guy was. I didn't even know what the hell happened. Because he was accused, I guess Ethan was accused of being a misogynist, I guess, because he only sued women. So he wanted to throw Sean the Black in there. He was dead to rights in terms of what he did. I'm going to show you one, and this is just one instance in his overall reaction video where he clearly said something very incriminating. So let's leave this. Let's pull this up here.
Bro, you can't just say like, oh, everybody's loving it because you sent your audience to go like the video. And then like, for the most part, people just genuinely aren't watching the video on the main video. You know what I mean? The only people watching the video on the video feed are the people who like the video. Everybody else has decided to not give it views and watch it everywhere else. You know what I mean?
So right there, he said the magic words. Everybody else has decided to not give it views and watch it elsewhere. And the only reason, right, is because this guy has like 17K subs and this video got 8K views. That's nothing. That's a joke, right? He's got 17K subs. That's a nobody. That's nothing. That's a joke. This video got 8K views. That's nothing. It's not worth Ethan Klein going after him because he's really so broke and so puny, right? So I think he just got lucky, generally, that he wasn't sued because he really wasn't worth it. And Ethan was like, look, I've already got 3 lawsuits. I'm already, paying my lawyers enough. Do I really want to pay my lawyers another, $50,000, $100,000 to go after this extra guy? And when he's kind of penniless, he's kind of a loser, he's kind of a nobody? Probably no. So I think that was probably the decision that came down the pike regarding Sean the Black, even though a lot of his statements just as incriminating as Denham's and Frogan and Casey Tron, and would put him in a similar position to those other folks. So we talked about the orbiters, right? And how they're screwed. Let's talk about Hassan again, because I want to go over some things, and then we're also going to go over after this some defenses people brought up. So brandishing what appears to be a weapon with the intent to intimidate violates California law. And I want to reinforce that it doesn't matter whether it's an airsoft or not. So a lot of people really care about it being airsoft. It doesn't matter. When you look at the California statute, which we looked at before, but I'm going to look at it again. When you look at 653.2, which is right here, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have the intent to place another person in reasonable fear, and then you publish their image, right? Such as their digital image of that person, even a public image. This is a big deal because a lot of people, especially when we get to the next one, think it has to be a private image. No, any digital image, even a public one, even their Facebook profile, even their Instagram. When you publish that with the intent to intimidate, you violate California law. And I know that this doesn't constitute what the regular person would call doxing. Showing a public profile can be impermissible if you're doing it with the intent to intimidate or threaten. And that's what Hassan was doing. So while most people will not consider this doxing because it's public information, it is indeed criminal. And once again, even showing public information, if you do it with the intent, if you do it with the threatening nature, that's a problem. Right? That's definitely a problem.
I concede.
This prevents people from pulling up public pictures and, you know, saying whatever they want to say about it and being like, hey, go get this guy. Right? Which essentially, if you think about it, right, with Hassan's large audience, him pulling up a photo and going in on a guy while he's holding a gun is sending a message to his audience that they need to go get this guy.